Hi everyone, if you saw my pumpkin tutorial, you know how much I love to paint things related to fall. So I thought today we would paint a maple leaf. I would have gotten one out of my yard for you, but they haven't really started turning yet. So here's one I painted previously. It's in one of my reels on Instagram, and a bunch of people asked for a tutorial. We'll use this kind of as our example today while we paint our own maple leaf. I'm using brushes from the Pigeon Letters. I'm probably gonna start with a size 10 or 12 round, and I will probably use a 2 for detail. I have paper towel for blotting. I have my paints, and of course, clean water and watercolor paper, 140-pound cold press. I'm just using the back of a sheet because I always use both sides because it's so expensive, and I like to practice on scrap paper anyway. So we're gonna do this quickly. It doesn't matter what brand of paints you have. We are obviously, as you can tell, gonna use a yellow, an orange, some red, and a little bit of greens in here. And if you have like a brown, a sepia, something like that, we may add some brown. You don't have to have all these colors. You can use any combination of these because fall leaves really are all incredibly unique and beautiful, and maples especially turn beautiful, beautiful colors. Just whatever like sort of rainbow colors you have on hand. All right, we're gonna start with our wet on wet technique. Every leaf is different and will look completely different. It's all kind of a crapshoot as you go. So don't get stressed if yours doesn't look like mine, because it won't. And mine won't look like this. Everyone comes out differently, and they're always a little bit wonky, which is, you know, like a real leaf. I'm gonna get a little bit of pigment, just some yellow on there, just so you guys can see. Normally I would just start with plain water, but it's really hard to see on the video. I always start sort of with the top point, and this is something that the shape kind of evolves as we go, okay? So don't get too hung up on how weird it looks in the beginning. So I start with the point, like that's gonna be the center of the leaf, and then I just get a lot of water, and I just kind of work my way down, kind of like, it looks like a chicken foot. And I kind of just work my way down, making sort of points out to the sides as I go, and then we'll refine as we go. They usually come out like pretty far on the side. So I'll make some out like this. You can see that looks nothing like a leaf right now. And even down like lower, they'll have like some points down lower. So it looks totally crazy right now, right? It doesn't look anything like that, but we'll go back and get some yellow. This is a Winsor Yellow Deep from Winsor & Newton. And now I'm gonna start to kind of add like a little bit of detail as I go, okay? And we'll just see how the shape comes out. I'm adding little side points everywhere where I had kind of a main point. So you see how that starts to take more of a leaf shape, and this side still looks like a chicken foot. And so maybe on this one, I'll get a little orange, because this leaf is not gonna, you know, look perfectly the same on both sides. And see, already our shapes are gonna be a little bit different on either side. All right, so this side's looking a little wonky because I have to kind of paint it back this way. And then we're gonna pull it out here and pull it out at the bottom. So not matching, a little bit crazy. Let's get a little green. And then I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to bring this out along the bottom a little and make it slightly larger so the bottom comes down and over, okay? Let's take a look. Sometimes step back and to kind of take a look at your shape. So this side I feel like looks a little weird. There we go. And like, I like to bring out the points. So I'm gonna go back over here, and I like the kind of, to add the darkness along the edge. It adds a really neat kind of outline. And then we'll kind of come in here. And again, I'm still kind of refining my leaf shape as I go. And you can still see how my two sides are not symmetrical with each other. That's okay. All right, so we have like our general, kind of our general shape here. Let's see where we go from here. So I want this to be really bold. So I'm gonna get a whole bunch of cadmium yellow. Ooh, that was a lot. And I'm going to put it kind of all over here because I like how that looks, and it tends to dry a lot duller. So if you keep your colors, you know, bold to start, it will dry much less pigmented. I'm gonna bring this out a little. All right. Okay. So what do you think so far? Not bad. Let's go in and add some more orange to it. Again, I like to do a darker edge. I think it makes the leaf kind of pop out. And then like maybe down the center, maybe over this way. Okay. All right, should we add some, let's add a little more green. I'm just using whatever's on my palette. Honestly, it's probably a little sap green and maybe some green gold. That's usually a lot of what I use. So there's still a little green, let's say a little green on this guy. All right, that's cool. All right, let's add some red. So this is a Scarlet Lake. I really like that. It's very orangey red, so it's great. Sometimes I'll dip in a little bit of crimson too, just so it's got some true red in it. So let's dab in some red. See how that's gorgeous. We'll just kind of let it run around a little bit. And I know it looks kind of, right, it looks crazy right now, like patchwork or tie-dye. So when you want to encourage your watercolor to move, you can always lift the side of the page. See the beautiful movement you'll get there, because we have so much water on our page, which is the whole point, right? This is our wet on wet, and I like to use a lot of water on this because I like it to really bleed and blend. So I'm gonna dab a little more green. So have some fun putting color where you like it, okay? Okay, I'd like to get a little bit of brown, maybe a raw umber or a burnt umber, maybe a little sepia, which will be more of a true, very dark brown, but just see what you have. This is like a raw sienna here. I have some raw umber. And so our stem will be kind of in the center. I'm gonna touch in the green part, and we don't care if the brown bleeds up into the leaf. That's just sort of how that would naturally happen. So I'm trying to get enough brown here. And we're gonna start off with a very skinny stem. Leaf stems are not very bulky on a maple, but where they were attached to the tree, it kind of comes out a little. So like that, it's kind of wrapped around the branch, so it does come out. And then I'm gonna tap some browns in a couple places. I think that's realistic, even though we're not really worried about realism here. Generally, when the leaf falls, a little bit of it has gone to brown, or there's some brown spots. You'll often find just sort of brown spots in the middle of the leaf where it started to turn, and then sometimes the edges, right? So we could outline the edges a little bit. And this leaf, whoops, is very wet right now. So some of the detail, generally, we might wait until it's a little more dry. What I want to do now is go in and add two things for detail. One, I'm going to get some red. I'm going to mix some of that crimson and Scarlet Lake, and I am going to add like just a little more detail on some of these edges. All right, what do you think of our color? I think it looks pretty good. Here's the last detail we're gonna do, which is to get a decent bit of sepia or another brown here at the bottom, and a little bit of the red. I'm just gonna put it in here, okay? Here's why. You're gonna take the back end of your brush, the handle. Some have a very sharp point. This one doesn't, but it will still totally work for us. We're gonna use this to make the veins, okay? You're gonna use the tip and you're gonna push down and you're gonna run it through the paint. So you'll see as I go what that looks like, but we're basically gonna start like right at the top of the stem, and I'm just gonna run it straight up and lift. You see how the effect that got? I'm pushing down pretty hard and then I'm lightening as I go, if that makes sense, okay? So then we're gonna go out towards the sides, just like a leaf, right? Like a leaf would. Up the stem and over and out. And it's gonna leave just, not dark marks, but just enough, I think, right? That looks pretty much like a maple. All right. So then down here we can add, right, some little side veining just off of the other little veins. So, and don't get too hung up on like exactly where they go. It doesn't really matter. But I think that's a nice effect to add to your leaf, and you'll see usually as it dries, those will show up a little more. You can see how nice our lines look where we have a dark edge on the leaf. I think that looks great. And then you stop wherever you feel like stopping. I think this is something you could play with for a long time and keep adding color and really making your leaf so pretty. But I hope that was helpful. And just practice and see how every leaf that you paint will come out differently and how fun that is. And I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you'll show me your leaves. So please tag me on Instagram at Sweet Seasons Art, and put me in your post and I'll story it and show everyone your beautiful maple leaves. Thanks so much for joining me today. Happy painting.